Okay, hi everybody. Sorry. Facebook, they're never happy with what they do. They always change everything. So there's some new format, and oh, that is so disconcerting. I'm trying to get a hold of it so I can see me here, but I also see this little live thing off in the background to the side, which is really distressing. It's gone away. I can't tell if anybody is actually online watching this. That seems to be gone. I know I'll get used to this after a while, but we already have enough change. This is killing me. Okay. So I can't tell if anybody is live. If you guys are here and you feel like commenting, um, feel free to comment. I don't know if I'll be able to see it. I don't know if I'll be able to see likes. I think you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm sorry. This is just what just happened. So I think I'm gonna try and pull it up on my phone. Ugh. But that doesn't make sense because now, oh, Shannon, I see, but I don't see it here. I only see it on my phone that you're here. But hi, thank you for joining. And I'm scared that I'm causing feedback. I don't know. So I'm going to turn my phone off. So unfortunately, whatever, I can't see who's watching. I can't see if there's comments. This is all very disconcerting. I don't know why they keep messing with good things. All right, anyway. So hello, welcome. Sorry about all the confusion. Um, Let me introduce myself. My name is Melanie Sibley. I am a licensed clinical social worker with a private practice in Champaign, Illinois. I specialize in anxiety, addiction, and trauma. I am, as we go through this COVID-19 pandemic together, um, I'm currently only offering telehealth. However, I'm very lucky that I'm set up with a HIPAA compliant electronic health manager. So everything is super easy to do telehealth wise. I just click a button and my clients get a link and they follow the link and we're on. So that's beside the point. I think first, I want to make sure to thank everybody that's out there helping us and keeping us afloat. So that is, of course, sorry, I'm really distracted. That is the doctors, the nurses, but it is also the admin staff, right? So I don't even know who that it is, but all the admin staff that is also at the hospital is helping us out. Maintenance, janitorial that is showing up. I know in my building because I'm still coming in every work. And our maintenance staff, our janitorial staff is still here on a regular basis cleaning. I think they skipped the water and they just cleaned with bleach. I'm chill with that. That's good. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to the truck drivers, Instacart, Grubhub, Amazon, and honestly, this is me, but if y'all walk out, I back you 100%. So I want I want the best for you. I appreciate you. I see you. Thank you to everybody working in the grocery stores, and doing their best to keep it safe. And of course, very much thank you to all the workers in community mental health. Because I know so many of you are working with some of our most fragile people and doing some really, really difficult work and not for a lot of pay. And I appreciate you. Also, let me see something. Oh, thank you. I could see that Shannon liked it. So I can't tell who's on, but I guess I can see likes. So I also want to give a shout out, and this is not quite as comfortable for me, but to all the therapists out there, everybody, we've all had to jump into telehealth. Some, I was fortunate. I did not a ton, not like I'm doing now, but at least I was familiar with how to run it. Some people, though, some therapists are so not tech savvy that they've had to really work hard to get this up and running to support their clients. And I'll be honest, it can be really difficult for us. It's hard when I'm trying to process my own emotions to be there for my clients. And I am much better now, but I just want to acknowledge all the therapists that are out there that are trying to learn their new normal, trying to have their feels, but also hold space for everybody else. So, all my beautiful peeps, thank you for being you and doing what you're doing. Okay, so there's that. So, As always, I want to start with 478 breathing. I can tell I haven't been live for a few days, so I'm pumped up a little bit. And honestly, this whole new setup is what? So I will explain it. I will talk you through it once, and then you do it if you want to. Don't do it if you don't want to. I will do it because it will help settle me. So it's breathing in and visualizing the numbers to the count of 4, holding for a 5, 6, 7, out on a really slow 8. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 5, 6, 7, out, really slow 8. I'm going to do this just a couple times. Okay. So I always find it curious, and I do this often. I do it with people and on lives often. And yet I can feel my shoulders drop. I can feel my body unclench. I find it's easier to talk at a slower. It's just so interesting how this works. So hopefully you found that useful. If not, no worries. Then things work for different people. And how are you guys doing? Like, and if you want to add comments, if you want to email me or text me or whatever, but how is everybody doing? We're in week 2, I think 3 for me. I think I started as soon as U of I went online, and over U of I spring break was when I started going to telehealth and doing my version of sheltering in place. And so we're kind of sinking into it. I know I can find myself finally adapting, not necessarily loving it, because I still have times where I feel super isolated and super lonely, but getting into the rhythm. Like the Zen Center has their thing worked out, so we know how Zoom is going to work with us, and I know that I still get to see them every week. I've picked up other habits, other tricks, so I'm settling in. But what about you guys? Are you still going out? Do you still have to go to work every day? If you do, how is that? Are you sheltering in place? If you are you going outside for walks or runs or something? Please tell me that you are. Are you homeschooling? Are you not homeschooling? Are you saying you're homeschooling and just like trying to keep your head above water? I appreciate that I get to hear a lot of different people's experiences through my clients, but it's still a fairly narrow selection. And I'm really curious about what other people are doing. So again, if you want to comment or reach out through email or text or whatever, I would love to hear what's up. And Shannon says that she loves the 478 breathing. I'm glad, I do too. And Joy says she's walking every day, which is beautiful. Okay. So I do see comments. Hey, that's something. Now I know I can't see who's on here, but I see comments. So yay. I don't know how to stop this either. Whatever. Oh, there it is. We'll figure it out. So today I wanted to talk about anxiety and the physical impact, and how it affects our bodies, because I think most of us have some levels of anxiety right now, and it takes a toll on our bodies. And sometimes when it ramps up, it's good when we can feel it physically. It's useful because then we get to tend to it and take care of it. But sometimes it feels really crazy. Like it can feel really out of control in your body when your anxiety kicks in. And so really we're going to talk about fight, flight, or freeze. People always forget the freeze part, right? And what that does in your body and why it does it in your body. Because if we understand the why, then suddenly it's uncomfortable, but it's no longer quite so threatening. So we'll do that. So let's think about symptoms. If you guys want to give comments on what your symptoms are, that would be great. I can talk through it from my own experiences and from clients. This is one of my favorite early introduction things to talk about with my clients. So let's talk about when anxiety kicks in, or panic attacks, right? When all of those kick in, the first thing that happens that most people aren't aware of is the amygdala back here goes on alert. And it says like, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. There's a grizzly bear in front of us, basically. And it kicks off all the other things that happen in our body. And I'm going to give you this. I don't have a science mind. I wish I did. So I explain this like I'm 5 years old because I can read all the big technical stuff and then I have to break it down to something I can understand, which is like a 5 year old's comprehension. So I'm going to give you the 5 year old version. Bear with me. So the amygdala goes and it says, there's a grizzly bear in front of me, danger, danger. And then our body kicks in, right? Our fight or flight kicks in, our limbic system activates, whatever. And let's think about the things that happen. And I can actually almost use parts of my body now because for some reason I'm still geeked up today. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure goes up, your breathing becomes fast and shallow. You might, if it's like, if I have to speak in front of like, this is nothing. If I were in front of 200 people, man, I would start shaking, like literally I'd have the shakes. My voice would tremble a little bit. Some people get tunnel vision. Your stomach might become knotted. You might end up with diarrhea. You might start sweating. What else? I'm trying to think, what else am I missing? Sometimes like our hands and our feet and our extremities might go numb or be tingly or just, and we might go ice cold. Those are all really common things that happen with anxiety. I'm glad that you can stay home, and I get why I get, Shannon, why you're missing everybody. I am too. So let's see if I missed anything. No, increased heart rate and blood pressure, the tummy gets knotted, you might get diarrhea. Oh, that's the other thing. Sometimes people get a headache when they get super anxious. And I feel like this is a super important thing to understand. Our thinking quite often goes really fast and it gets really blurry. So we can't think clearly and doesn't feel like we're being rational. And here's the thing. Everybody's like, well, I know it's wrong, but I feel like I'm not being rational. No, you're right. You're not being rational. You can't think clearly and you can't think logically. And that's fine. So let's look at why all of this happens. And if you guys kind of understand, then you can type, but let's do your heartbeat starts pumping more, your heart starts going faster, your blood pressure increases, and your breathing gets fast and shallow. And really that makes sense because you're prepared to either I always like kill the grizzly bear. So kill the grizzly bear or run away from it or be like a rat. You know, do you guys ever go for walks and you see the little rabbit that freezes in place and pretends like you can't see it? That's the other one. So you're pumping blood to your big muscles and you are breathing faster and shallow to get more oxygen to those big muscles so that you can either kill the grizzly bear or you can get the fuck out of Dodge. So that's why those things are happening. And now let's think about when I teach 4-7-8 breathing and when I teach like that muscle, like belly breathing thing that I did a few days ago. If you think about if danger breathing is fast and shallow from the chest, belly breathing is the exact opposite. So up here and fast and shallow is danger, danger, I'm preparing to fight or to run away. Down in your abdomen that's how, like, watch a baby sleep someday. That's how babies sleep. Or watch your dog, those really deep, deep, relaxing belly breaths. So when you change your breathing, it is your way of signaling to your body that you're safe. And that's why it's useful. So we have that. I have to look through this, sorry. The shaking, do you guys know the shaking is simply adrenaline is being dumped all over your body along with cortisol. And adrenaline is to give you that energy boost so that you can effectively, run farther, faster, fight harder, stronger, lift the car off of the proverbial baby, right? So adrenaline helps with that also, but it also causes you, it's kind of like if you have too much caffeine, it geeks you up, but it makes you shake. It's really unpleasant, but it's totally natural. And in the right situation, all of these are the things that keep us alive, right? Like, if we didn't have such good survival skills, if we didn't have such strong reactions back in the day, our ancestors would be dead and we wouldn't be sitting here. So it sucks, but it used to keep us alive. And on rare occasions, it's still useful, just not as often. Think about the sweating, right? So sweating is one of my favorites. And first off, because we have these big bursts of energy in our body, our temperature kind of goes up from that. So the sweating helps bring our body temperature down. It helps regulate us. But also, think about this. If there was maybe not a grizzly bear, but say a wolf or say some other predator were to grab onto you with its mouth and you're sweaty, think about how much easier it is to get away. So I think the sweating has, I don't know that I ever read that about sweating making you slippery and able to escape, but to my mind, that makes sense. So it cools us down from the big burst of energy. It helps regulate our bodies, but it also helps us escape better. The stomach, the upset stomach is kind of awesome because it's always one of my most disturbing symptoms, and it always feels like the weirdest and it doesn't make sense. But if you're busy taking all this blood and sending it to all the big muscles, then you are not going to spend time or energy digesting your food. And that makes sense. Why digest the food in your stomach when you're in danger of being in somebody else's stomach? I'm sorry, I have weird things popping up. So I'll look at that later. Okay, so you don't want to waste time and energy digesting your food when you're in danger of being in another animal's stomach, right? I mean, and so that kind of makes sense. Diarrhea is not uncommon, having the poops when you're super stressed or anxious. And it really is exactly what you would think. Like you need to lighten your load, drop whatever excess you can so that you can react faster. And so, again, super uncomfortable, but it kept us alive back in the day. Um, so another distressing one is the your hands going numb or tingling, your legs going numb or tingling. And again, it makes sense if we think about one, our bodies will reduce our pain receptors because we don't need to be feeling pain if we're running through a thorn bush or some shit to get away from a grizzly bear. We don't want to feel that until afterwards because we don't need to be slowed down. We just need to react. And then also because our blood is not going to these places, then we're not gonna, it's gonna get weird feeling, right? So if our blood is only going to the big muscles and not to our extremities, then it makes sense that they would feel weird, for lack of a better way to say it. This is really hard because I'm used to having other people check in with themselves as we do it. So I will give you the last big one, and I feel like this is so useful to know, is that if we get super anxious, super amped up, then our thinking gets weird. And it's two things. One is, again, we're not going to send as much blood to our brain because we don't need to think clearly. And also, and this is so useful to understand, our prefrontal cortex up here, this is the logic, the rational, the thinking about it, all of that, that goes offline. Like we stop thinking rationally, we stop thinking logically. And that, again, is good because think about if a grizzly bear really did pop out into the middle of the street in front of you, do you want to stop and think? Do you want to be like, I think it's 7, no, maybe 7.2, and I think it's probably weighing in at about 500, maybe 505. Like if you're thinking that, you're fucking dead. So this stops so that you can react to keep you alive. Does that make sense? And so that is a really useful thing to happen if we're actually in physical danger. It is horrible if we are getting anxious because we have to confront somebody, or if we are getting anxious because we're in a crowded store or whatever, because then we no longer think clearly. And so then the trick is to bring our prefrontal cortex back online to get that thinking back in place. And that is why when we do 478, that's why the numbers, and that's why counting and visualizing. That is the mental grounding that I taught last week or whenever I taught it. That's where mental grounding comes in handy. So those are the things that reactivates our prefrontal cortex and helps us start thinking logically again. And I feel like I should say, right, fight, flight, or freeze. So running away, getting anxious, right? Getting avoidance is the freeze, but the fight is the anger. So when people are exploding with anger, it's still their fight or flight activated. It's just the anger part of it. But their thinking goes offline too. So if you're trying to have a rational conversation, if you're trying to discuss something with somebody that is spun up, whose prefrontal cortex is offline, it's a waste of time. It is basically like trying to have a rational discussion with a drunk person. It just isn't useful. They need to have this working again. They need to be thinking and logical and rational, or you need to, if you're the one that spun up, before anything else can go forward. So I think those are the big physical reactions. I'll give you one other piece, and I'm going to do like 5 years old. So I apologize. It's the only way for me to do it, though. So if you think about, I had somebody who panic attacks is a good one because you get those paired, like, I can't go to the mall because I'll have a panic attack. Or for a long time, me driving in really bad snow. Or I have a client who, oh, we should do that, who driving in heavy rain triggers her, right? So what happens is, and it makes sense again, this is such a bad, just run with me here. So let's pretend we're back in caveman days. And let's pretend we're in Australia. I know this is not right, just pretend. And you're walking down some trail, doot, 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 and you're smelling eucalyptus, and it's a spring day, and all of a sudden a saber-toothed tiger jumps out of a eucalyptus tree at you. Pretend, right? So because this is offline and the amygdala is the only thing that's activated, we don't necessarily store the actual memories, but we store the implicit memories. We store the associations. So we might store eucalyptus means danger. Or say you're walking somewhere back in caveman days and you walk by a cave in the side of a hill, and saber-tooth comes out of its den in the cave and attacks you. Then from then on, you might store big holes inside of hills equals danger. You don't need to have the memory because that takes up too much time and energy. You just have to have those two things paired in your unconscious memory, right? So when you walk by a hole in the side of the hill, a cave, your amygdala is like, fuck, I remember that last time something bad happens, and it triggers fight or flight or freeze. That still happens to us, but it's no longer beneficial. So if, I wiped out once on black ice, and now every time I drive in a snowstorm, my amygdala goes, oh, fuck, you're going to get a car accident and die, and it sets me off into anxiety. That doesn't help, but it's still hardwired into us. I'll give you two last things to do for anxiety. The first is, you don't have to do it, whatevs. Nobody or very few people actually manage to do it, and there's no judgment there. But meditation. There is studies, there are MRIs that show that consistent, and not a lot, but consistent meditation actually takes your amygdala back here, the thing that is your warning system. And I'll use me. Mine tends to be really super sensitive. So not much, doesn't take a lot of stimulus for my amygdala to go, there's a grizzly bear, freak out. Meditation makes your amygdala less reactive. And so it takes more and more to activate my fight or flight, which is beautiful because really 90% of the time, fight or flight isn't useful anymore. So that's one thing you can do if you have high anxiety. Meditating, I forget. I want to say it really was not a lot. So go Google it, go look it up, and it'll give you the guidelines. It says you have to do the only research was for a specific type of meditation. That's the research. My personal experience is I don't think it really matters. This is not scientific, but I think if you sit and you don't get any stimulus in, then your amygdala doesn't get set off for any length of time, and that kind of makes it weaker. Does that make sense? I could be wrong, but to me that makes sense. So meditation will make your amygdala less reactive. The other thing that is super beneficial for anxiety, which is like everybody right now during this pandemic, is cardio exercise. And again, this is going to be not 100% correct because I have to explain it like I'm 5 years old because that's how I have to understand it. But let's think about this. If you were back in the day and a grizzly bear really jumped out at you, and let's say this is baseline, grizzly bear jumps out and your body jumps up to here. right? What would you do then? You would run, you would fight, you would hide, you would do, so your body would become super active, right? Which means bodily responses go up to here, go into cardio in response to the grizzly bear. And then once you're safe, once the grizzly bear is dead or you're on the other side of the fucking mountain or whatever, then your body calms down and it comes back to its baseline down here. Now let's think about now, today. So let's say my baseline is here. Let's say I was not wise and I decided to read about the latest stats on COVID-19. My anxiety will get activated. I will jump up to here. Now, let's say I don't actually take any action. How does my body know that I've successfully fought off the proverbial made up grizzly bear? It doesn't. It just stays here and it just stays freaked the fuck out. So if I go and my knees are shot, I'm like old now, so I don't actually run. But if I go for a fast walk or if I go for a bike ride, if I get cardio, then it is me basically mimicking running away from the grizzly bear. And then once I'm done with my 20 minutes of cardio and my target heart rate, my body will slow down and it will say, oh, good job. We escaped and now we're safe. And that's how we get to let go of the cortisol, let go of the adrenaline. That's how we reset everything. So I think three biggest: deep breathing, belly breathing, 4-7-8 or whatevs. I don't, grounding, I guess, is another really big one. So belly breathing, grounding, if you're spun all the way up, meditation, physical exercise. I will also say that EMD, which is a offspin of EMDR, eye movement desensitization, can take those really scary things that are triggered, that are apparent in your memory, and it desensitizes you so that you're no longer scary. So I'll use for a while things that happen. And so taking my dog near a busy street used to freak me out. Like Joy can attest to this, right? It used to get me all anxious. So we follow a protocol and we do EMD and I am no longer scared of it. Like I'm like, oh, it's a street. She's on a leash. She's little. She's not going to try and run in the middle of it. Everything is fine. So for day-to-day anxiety, what we talked about is good. And also remembering it's just a physical reaction. It's super uncomfortable. It's super unpleasant, but it's not harmful. Then you have coping skills to help manage the physical things in it. And then at some point, if you need to, and I don't even want to say if you really need to, because truly EMD is fast and easy. So if you choose to find an EMDR therapist that is proficient and skilled in EMD, I would suggest that also. Okay, I think that's it. My goal is to do once or twice a week for about 30 minutes. And we're right about 30 minutes, so I hope this was helpful. I apologize for the rocky start. Like, why, Facebook? I'm just getting used to the old format. Why did you have to change? Regardless, if you have other things you want me to talk about, if you have other subjects you want me to cover, questions, comments, whatever, drop me a line. What else was I going to say? If you want to see a therapist, I want to encourage you to go do that. You can link with me if I don't know you personally, like as friends or relatives or something, or I can help you find a good therapist that would fit your needs. Please get outside every day. Please, please, please limit how much media you're taking in, be that TV, radio, if they're talking about all this crap, Facebook, Reddit, whatever. Please limit how much you're taking in, because I think that is the fastest way to spin up. And I get you're not going to not do any of it. Like, I can't keep myself away either, but really take care of how much you watch it. Okay, take care, be safe, be healthy, and I will pop in maybe Thursday, if not next Tuesday for sure. Peace.